guys? What's up, Tomboy Official? So looking over at this Seven Cups app, I haven't been too active helping out on there in a while, but I kind of wanted to look at some of the posts. I don't know why these aren't in order. They have threads. It's not threads like, oh, maybe like, it's by popular. I'm gonna put new, filter to new. Yeah, okay, now we have a lot of May ones on here. So some of the topics, I mean, this might be maybe a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm not gonna go through all of them. And again, I can't really offer full advice, but I'll read some of the titles and see kind of what. I'm not gonna read the screen names or anything, just in case people are interested to know what types of people put on the LGBTQ plus Mugi support on Seven Cups. It's a therapy app, but it's, I go on there to volunteer. Sometimes I haven't been on there in a while, so I decided let me just read some of it. I'm not gonna read the details though. It says, so this person is trying to figure out their gender. That's from May 9 today. There's another one, someone's looking for friends. Someone said something about the title just says to run away, but I don't really know what the actual topic is. Somebody else with the gender topic with some confusion, they said somebody else looking for friends. Someone else came out as trans. Someone else is depressed. Someone else is trying to figure out their sexuality, if they're bi or lesbian. Someone else made a confession to their friend, and their friend didn't have a good reaction, I guess. Let me see. This person doesn't have age or info, but they're basically saying that they confessed to their best friend a couple years ago. It didn't seem to go well. And this person's saying basically that they themselves, sorry guys, that they themselves as a queer person are feeling stupid and toxic. Sorry, I thought it was getting quieter. They themselves as a queer person are feeling stupid and toxic because they didn't necessarily get rejected by this friend, but the friend is basically saying that she's not ready, and then they went back as friends. And then she says she goes back and asks see. She was saying, I guess she was kind of talking about, because they're friends, this person that she had a crush on started to reveal to this LGBT person more and more about the different people that were asking her crush out, her friend crush out. And she felt like her friend was just treating it like it was a joke. I don't understand this. Sorry. I guess they were saying that the worst part is that it was a joke to her, that these people were asking her out. Because I guess the friend made a comment like, I'm so lucky that I'm her best friend, and that's why she was nice to me. So I guess she doesn't like people asking her out. That's what it sounds like to me, that this friend that she has a crush on isn't really trying to date anyone or hasn't found anyone who's asked her out that she's interested in. And she doesn't seem to have any intentions to try to go out with anybody anytime soon, maybe. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering if that's what it is. I don't really know. That's kind of how I was reading it. I didn't want to read word for word, but yeah, it doesn't really seem like this friend is really trying to date anyone, and she just maybe she's getting a bit of a kick out of people having interest in her. But she's not trying to date her bestie, she's not trying to date any of these other people asking her out. And because they're besties, this person is kind of more comfortable joking around with them about it, and more comfortable being okay then, let's just joke around about it. And I guess maybe she's not even being nice to the other people that she's rejecting. She was nice to her bestie, but she wasn't really nice to some of these other people who were asking her out, I guess. That's kind of the way they're making it sound here. I don't know, that sucks. Yeah, that would really suck to have to deal with that. I wonder if after such a long time, if this LGBT person is over that friend at all. Because it seems like it was kind of a time frame, in between. They didn't, just ask them out. So I'd be curious about that. If there's even maybe a little more to it, or if something's happened since, if anything's changed since, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm just wondering if anything's really changed since, and if it has, what is it that has really changed? Because it seems like they asked them out. It looks like they said a couple years ago. So I guess all these their friend still hasn't been dating anyone ever since, and I guess was just saying a compliment toward their bestie, but also the LGBT friend, but also was saying that they're not ready, but maybe, I don't know, that part to me sounds a little leading on though. Like, maybe I guess their frustration, because they didn't word it this way, but maybe I'm gathering now that maybe their frustration is that the way their bestie worded this was like, I'm not ready. I think you're attractive, but I'm not ready. Instead of being like, no, I don't want to be with you. Because they don't seem like they want to be with anybody. And if they are kind of joking around about people asking them out, maybe they just didn't want to, like, because that wasn't really like rejecting that LGBT friend so much. They kind of were just like, so I think maybe that's what I wasn't understanding, is kind of like, yeah, I get that that's already upsetting if somebody's like joking around about other people that they're not interested in. I thought it was going more in a direction of like, now this LGBT friend is going to be jealous, possibly. Like, it's going to create a bit of jealousy because they're kind of now interacting and talking to somebody often who's getting asked out on dates, and this person's like telling them all about these situations where they're not interested in these other people, but also kind of thinking that they had a chance. But I guess later on, I guess it sounds like maybe 2 years later, this person's like, well, when you asked me out, I was just kind of trying to be nice, you know? So they didn't really say, no, I'm not interested, or no, I don't want to date you. They said something more along the lines of, you know, I think you're attractive and I'm not ready. And it sounds like they really aren't ready though, or maybe just haven't come across someone that they like. But it sounds like to them, they're not really taking it seriously if people are asking them out. Maybe it's like a joke. Maybe it's like an ego trip. Maybe it's like a, I don't know if ego trip is the right word, but maybe they're kind of getting like their self-esteem boosted. But it's not like they have any control over people asking them out unless they're being flirty. Nobody's saying that. But and even flirting isn't like always an invitation for someone to be asking them out, but it does show, or at least present, as if someone's more interested. Like, if somebody's flirting and you kind of catch that that's what's happening, you might think that this person wants you. Even if they don't really want you, you might think, oh, this person's really like into me. Possibly, you might possibly think that way. Possibly not, but you might possibly think that way. So yeah, like I'm just a little curious to know kind of like what's going on with the situation. That does suck. I'm kind of like, the more I kind of thought about it a little second there, I'm like, oh wow, that really sucks more than what it sounded like it sucked already. But this sounds like it sucks even more than what I was thinking it meant. But yeah, like I don't really, I don't know. That's pretty depressing. That's pretty sad to hear. Because if you're into someone and they're not into you, that's already hard enough. And then if you think you might have a chance, if they're like, I might be coming around later on, just now is not the time that I'm trying to like be with people. And then they're not like saying yes to anybody else. But then they do explicitly later on say, hey, I was just trying to be nice to you because you're my best friend. It's like, dude, that is kind of a low blow. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty big on honesty, even if it hurts. Like, and I know it's maybe, I don't know. There's no easy way to do it, but I don't think lying is like the best option all the time. I mean, there might be scenarios where it's like the timing, like if somebody lost a loved one or they're already like in a bad spot and then they're being vulnerable or something happens like that, it's like maybe that's not the right timing to kind of just add like punch them while they're down kind of thing, kick them while they're down. That doesn't sound nice, honestly. That's not like a nice thing to do if you can avoid it. I mean, but yeah, like, I don't know. I've had experiences where I've been rude and rejected people, and I was like too far in the other direction because it was like I rejected someone that I didn't hate. It was actually someone who I was friendly with, who was a friend of mine, who I liked hanging out with and doing stuff with, and I actually wanted to hang out with them, but my folks, like, this person didn't really, they weren't in the same religion. It was a Jewish person. My parents didn't have really issues with them being Jewish necessarily, but at that time maybe I was kind of like, oh, you're not the same religion, and I was kind of taught to think like that from like family and like adult friends. So to me that was kind of a thing. I was like, oh, we're not the same religion, and like, but I didn't say that. I just was like, hell no, like. That was kind of my response, and then I kind of backtracked and realized what was happening, and I was like, I just can't go. But I didn't really explain myself. I mean, I wish I would have just said, I want to hang out with you, I just don't want to go to the stupid school thing because I don't want to wear formal dress. That was the truth. That was the full truth. I was like, I want to go out with this person. We had seen Star Wars Episode 1 together when it first came out. That's how long ago this was. I was in high school or junior high or something, and I remember sitting next to this person in the movie theater, and I was like, you know, we used to play Magic the Gathering. They were the person who got me into Magic the Gathering and into like 3D modeling on computers, and like I know they worked for a major video game entertainment company out in LA, and they're out in LA still, and they're doing well. But you know, I kind of wish, I'm like, that was a pretty hard way to reject them, but I also wasn't like, I didn't have a lot of good awareness socially back then at all, because I noticed now how they treated me different after. Like, they didn't really try to talk to me too much, we didn't really hang out too much. And I remember for one of their birthdays, I gave them like a $5 bill with like my face on, like, cut out my school picture from my 9th grade school picture and put it on their on the, kind of taped it on the bill and gave them that, like, wished them a happy birthday. They were like a grade ahead of me, and they were at a lunch table. It wasn't lunchtime, it was like some kind of break, longer break. And I remember going over and being like, intentionally being like, oh, like, I got this person's birthday gift. Like, I kind of made it. It was like a little, it wasn't like a card or anything. It was just a $5 bill with like, I put my little picture on the bill or whatever, and I just wished this person a happy birthday. It was kind of publicly. It was like in front of like 2 or 3 or 4 of their like close friends or whatever. I think it was their whole class basically, because there were like 5 of them. So I think it was all of the class above me. And I just was like, hey, happy birthday, you know. But that was like probably the next year, I think, or 2 years later. I don't even remember. But I don't know, like, I guess this person had been trying to talk to me for a bit, and I wasn't really into like trying to date and stuff back then. It wasn't really an interest of mine, and I really didn't want to go to banquets, like chaperone banquets, and have people making a fuss over my hair and a fuss over dresses and a fuss over all these like formal things. That just wasn't my vibe. I would have been perfectly fine going to the arcade and, like, you know, like skimboarding at the beach or something like that, or playing basketball, or like just playing Magic the Gathering, or like watching Star Wars, or playing video games, or anything else, skating, rollerblading. You know, I wasn't into like that kind of stuff back in junior high, and this was like junior high. But I learned from that, and it still kind of sticks with me. I'm like, dude, that was kind of messed up, because I didn't really even explain myself more. But yeah, like, I never hated this person. I just wasn't into them. And I don't know if I would have wanted to go on dates with this person. Like, they were nice to me, and we had fun. Like, what else are we supposed to do in junior high? they were kind of like complimenting me about certain stuff. Like they weren't like excessive about it. They made a couple comments where I was like, "What's going on?" It was like flirty comments, but I was kind of also like, they're in a higher grade than me, and I think they were a little, maybe like a year older, and I knew a little bit about them, but I just kind of, it was weird about things like that. I was like, school's too small, and like I don't want to have to like explain to my parents that I'm going, like it wasn't something I could just go do by myself. It's like you have to like get somebody to take you there. Like I wasn't driving, this person wasn't driving. Like I was like, there's no way my parents aren't gonna find out, there's no way the whole school isn't gonna find out, or the whole class and the whole church, and like everybody's gonna know. Like I was just kind of like, this is too much for me. Like I just, even if it was just like one event, and I had, I guess the next year I had kind of like almost a similar situation happen to me, because I was trying to go with a friend that I was just friendly with since like kindergarten, and I asked them out and they said yes, and then they kind of bailed on me the day of. I think they had called earlier, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it, and I remember thinking like, oh, maybe I should ask this person if if I should invite somebody else, because there was another person I was going to invite that I usually invited, and I was like, let me not invite that person because they're a little bit annoying, but I didn't really mind. I liked hanging out with them. Just when they got in groups, they were like really weird. But I thought they were kind of cool. Like, I don't know, we kind of got along on some level. And then this other person that I had asked out, who kind of bailed on me, I was like, I've told these stories before plenty of times, and then like I kind of thought, I'd like to go out with this other person that I'd been hanging out with more during the summers and got to know them more, and like I don't know if we even had more in common, honestly, but I thought they were cool. Like I thought they were cooler, but they were a little more like part of like my childhood inner circle of like immediate friends, like family of friends. This other person was like from another church. I knew them through like sports league and through some other friends at school, but like same denomination but different church, Spanish speaking church. We weren't even like in the same churches at all too much, but we'd visit. So it was a little more far removed for that other person that I usually brought with me. But this person, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to, maybe I was trying to impress my friends, or thought maybe they'd be more socially, because we had a limo and stuff, and I was like, I don't know, this other person gets a little weird, and I don't want to be, I brought them on, I think the previous event I brought them to, they were kind of mad dogging one of my friends for something, like they would just make weird problems that weren't even there, and be like acting weird. They lied about everything, they would lie all the time. But I was like, at that age it didn't really matter, it's like whatever, like you could say whatever you want to say, like none of us are really gonna like care. Like back then it didn't really matter, you could say your parents have whatever job, you own like 5 mansions in another state, like you're like 8th grade, like who cares if that's true or not, like like they didn't say that specifically, but they were saying stuff kind of along those lines sometimes. They would lie about a lot of stuff, but I guess I kind of liked the other friend more because I thought they were cool, and like they were kind of more into like sports, and they weren't so like socially weird, and they kind of had like a better reputation, I guess, a little bit. So I was kind of more interested in that. Like I was like, okay, this person, has a better reputation, but maybe I was the one. They were like maybe not trying to be seen in public with me. Like we hung out fine and stuff, but I thought that was kind of like messed up. Like if they didn't want to go, they didn't have to wait all the way till the day of to tell me. But then, long story long. It's not gonna be long story short. Long story long. I ended up. One of my friends needed a ride, and a different friend that I played basketball with, who we were friendly, but they weren't allowed to date because they were Muslim, and they weren't really culturally interested in dating at all. And I didn't really want to date them either. I thought they were nice and sweet, and I thought they were attractive, but I wasn't like wanting to date this person necessarily. But I really did like culturally how different they were, but they were so nice and sharing and open and like friendly, uh, and talented at a lot of things, but really just humble, and they left a really good impression on everybody. But like, yeah, it was kind of fun though. We kind of had a lot of fun, and but yeah, I've never had a situation where somebody was like, I was just trying to be nice. Like nobody said that to my face. Uh, I've just had situations where I think I've had situations where people were just trying to be nice, but they nowadays they don't say it. They just kind of are online that way. Like they'll entertain like the idea of like let's go do something, let's hang out, let's like meet up, let's go out on a date, and then it just like never happens because they don't really want to say no. Um, and so I do think there's some of that more so than some of this other stuff, but that gets annoying too because I'm like I can't read those situations. Like I'm usually like, if you like me, tell me. If you don't like me, I'm not gonna like figure it out, unless you know, like I'm pretty friendly, so I don't tend to really notice if people don't really want to even just be friendly, and just go do just activities together. Like I'm kind of like always into that kind of thing. So when I meet people who aren't really into it, it's kind of like, well, why were we talking in the first place if you don't want to keep talking and if you don't want to meet up? Like, what was all that about? You know, like that part to me is confusing. Where I'm like maybe people want to get to know each other longer just talking, but I'm kind of not like that. I'm kind of like, if we've talked enough and it seems cool enough to meet and it's convenient to meet, let's just meet. Like I'm not trying to do like all this like 4 months, 5 months of like chatting and then we never meet. It's like we're already wasting time. But I don't know. I gotta get ready to go to this Muna concert. I'm running a little late actually, but I figure it doesn't start for another 3 something hours, so I'm not like in a super rush to get across town. I'll probably get there like 45 minutes, like 30 minutes later than I thought I was gonna be, but I don't want to be there super early. Today's been kind of tiring, but good and relaxing at the same time. But I may have needed a little more sleep. I don't know. We'll see. Alright. I'll probably post this while I'm in line. It'll give me a little something to do.